MyCore is on a mission to be the world's most people-centric company. The purpose of this podcast is to get to the core of people. I'm your host, Nathan Bourne, and I invite you to join me as we deep dive into the personal and professional lives of our guests. We're going to learn who they are, why they exist, and what they do. We're going to hear their stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In other words, we're going to talk to some really cool people. Welcome to the MyCore podcast. Oh my, hello. This is your host, Nathan Bourne, here with Kyle. I'm going to mess it up, man. Mlakar. Shit.
Not bad. Mlakar.
Not even freaking close. That was very nice.
No, you're good. You're good. Trust me. Like the pronunciations that we have gotten over the decades of this, long-standing Slovenian family in Northeast Ohio are intense. So you're good. Trust me.
Dude, that's awesome. So this morning on our executive team meeting, you are beloved to MyCore. I know you know this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we adore you, bro. I was like, yeah, I'm stoked. I've got an episode today with Kyle, and you're just Kyle. Like you're like Jordan or Madonna or something. Like we don't know another Kyle. Like you're Kyle.
Because you can't pronounce Mlakar, so it's a lot easier.
Precise. So, and I said like Kyle, and I was like, you know what? I don't really know how to say his last name. And Curtis was like, yeah, I don't either. And he's like, will you find out for me? I was like, I'm going to start the episode getting down to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
So Mlakar.
Yes, got it.
Also known as Kyle, just Kyle.
Right.
I'm excited, man. I want to tell a little of our story, how we got connected and I've been interacting it's probably been like 3 years almost.
Minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. Two, maybe longer. Yeah. I know it was, you know what? It's probably been like 4.
Yeah, probably late 21, early 22. We round up, we carry the 2 minus the 1. I was told there was going to be no math on this podcast, so thanks a lot.
Right.
But the most important thing is it's been a long time, which is the most important.
Yeah. And I think what's cool about it is we're not in person. We had met for the first time just about 6 months ago at the MyCore event in Columbia, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And it also includes Laura. So there's just like, sometimes you connect with people in a way that is unique and unexpected, particularly because you were in a position as the COS, Chief of Staff. Were you at Chief of Staff at that point or COO?
I was probably chief of staff when we first started talking back in my last company. Yeah.
At a company out of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And we initially it was like a discovery meeting. It was, you had responded to an email, or I think the CEO had, and kind of said, hey, talk to this company around people operations. And so normally you don't become actual friends with,
people who say that they can't do business with you right now.
Right.
And you become a dead lead. Yeah.
It was, right. Literally it was like this, hey, you guys are great. Love your solution. Can't get it done.
Yeah.
It was like, it's cool, man. We'll just hang out with you. When are we kicking it again?
Right. Exactly.
But here we are, man. And since then, you were at Fox for some time, right? That was a big growth period in your career, and then now you've gone out on your own. Tell us a little bit about you and your background and where you're coming in live from.
I just want to say I'm super excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I've been trying to get on your podcast for a bit now, and I'm glad we're finally doing this.
It's overdue. Yeah, in fact, I remember talking to you about the podcast before I launched it, remember? And we were talking about you flying here, but now we've got cool context as to why we're doing this. We're going to talk about the MyCore Collective. And
I've got my plug on the chairman, episode 1. Pretty proud of that one. So, we've been building. So, coming to you live from Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm born and raised. Go Browns. And let's see, I was at Fox August of 21, came in as a chief of staff. I've been in logistics and transportation the majority of my career. I have tried to get out 3 or 4 times. It is like that Godfather Part 3 scene where you think you're out, but they pull you back in. I have tried to become a chef. I have gone to get my real estate license. I've done a lot. So
that's awesome.
But then you just make your bed and you love it. So
you're a made man. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Fox, when we were there, we had an incredible amount of success with a great team, based out of Stark, Florida, just outside of Jacksonville. Took that company as a team to the Inc. 5000 in 2022 at number 268. Actually bettered that by 38 spots. Took it up to 230 in 2023. And in 2024, they settled in at number 694. So 3 straight years of being sub 700 in the Inc. 5000 is an incredible achievement. We did a lot of fun things there. It did take me on a career journey that elevated me from chief of staff to president to CEO before I exited last July. And then founded and launched Hire COS, which is a fractional chief of staff consulting company. And our main focus is to help organizations and people within those organizations grow, scale, evolve, execute, period. End of story.
Awesome.
So
I love the embedded command of your, I love the embedded command of your brand. It's like Hire COS,
Yeah. Just get us. Let us come in and add some bandwidth and a little bit of versatility, a little bit of direction and strategy. But the best part about this role, in our viewpoint, is it is about people. That's probably what a covenant pillar of what you and I have connected on, around what your vision for MyCore is as the most people-centric company in the world, and my steadfast promotion that it all starts with your people. It doesn't matter about tech or process or colors or brand or logo or whatever. If you don't have good people, and you can define that in a lot of different ways, which is what makes companies unique, better, and different. But you've got to start there.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Let's dive into that, because I think that intersection of philosophy and belief has been the glue to our conversations, our connections, and then ultimately our collaboration. And I want to give this story of you coming to our event in the spring of this year, because you've been a huge catalyst and inspiration, really, for some of the shifts that we've made, some of the risks that we're taking. Like we're already pretty unorthodox and kind of put ourselves out there and stick our neck out there and put ourselves out there. But I'm telling you, you were like an ICP for me throughout that week, where I was like, I think Kyle's enjoying himself. Like, he doesn't look miserable. If so, he's like hiding it really, really well.
Man. No.
So let me give a little context there. So we MyCore have been putting on events for like about the same amount of time. In fact, the reason I remember is that when I made the choice to go with this like email marketing, it actually ironically did not work out very well, other than our connection, which I would spend the money 100 times over to meet you, man. But it was like kind of a flop, right? And it was right before everyone started getting blasted with emails that were seemingly conversational. So it was like 2022. And we had some extra cash because we were rolling in that COVID money, that EIDL. And we got approached by this company to end up spending like 20 grand for like email marketing. And they were these pre-written emails with call to actions and hooks and all that. And I remember, because I made the decision to do it at an event in Austin, Texas, our first event as a company, where we said, okay, well, we're remote. We need to like start getting together. And it was 2022. So COVID was a couple years, behind us or amongst us, however you'd say that. And then we started to do these events, and they were offsites of just people that were at and with MyCore, employees, some of our contractors, like people that just were really like at MyCore proper. And then as these events materialized, we started to realize that there were people that weren't at my core, they weren't with my core, but they were for my core. They were like about it. And you were one of those people. So we invited you out to our event. And it was kind of like a weak invite of like, hey, so like we do this event and it's like really like our event, but there's so much alignment and we've had so many conversations. Like, you should come out. I think it would be killer for your like, professional development. And we've talked so much now. That's me. So you did. You came out. And I was a little bit nervous because, when you're with like, it's like a first date, you're way freaking tall, man.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Like you're way taller than I expected. It's not cool.
That's the cowboy boots, man. That's the cowboy boots.
But yeah, those boots, man. Them boots were knocking. So I I am like, okay, this is different because normally I'm like presenting to a group of people that they know me, they know my quirks, they know like the things I say and do, and they just know our culture, right? And then now Kyle's in the room. So I remember talking to you probably on day 2 and sort of checking in, like playing it cool, but being like, "Hey, man," because I think you had to jet out. You're going to catch your flight. And I just was like, "Hey, have you enjoyed the event?" It was kind of like, do you want to go on a second date? Or like, so like, what do you think? I don't even fucking care. Like, what do you like? But I loved the way you responded, and you had your notebook, and you like flip. Right there. Yes, exactly. You had your MyCore notebook. Yes,
like
doing it live right here.
Yeah.
And you flip through it. And you show them how small you write, bro.
Oh, yeah. Well, if anybody knows me from, it's pretty. Day one.
So tell me your response.
Nathan. Boom.
Tell me your response. Because I think there's a jump off here in like personal development, getting out of your normal flow, like all the things around going to an event and being intentional. But I don't want to monopolize the time. I think I've teed up the story a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's, if we walk through that like journey or that period in professional development and like where I was in my career and being a solopreneur of launching Higher COS, like I was in the first 6-month little lull. I was like, hey, like, where are we with this? Am I super happy? We've got some clients that we're doing work with. We're super, we're moving the needle forward for organizations. We're having success. They're having success, most importantly. But I remember reaching out to you guys and like I needed a little jolt break. I needed a period of time to like change what I was focusing on and kind of like organize some thoughts, but like get away from the desk, so to speak. And I'm a big proponent of like, engage in events within your industry, engage in events that help you become a greater subject matter expert, but also like do things that are completely divergent from the norm. Like go try something totally new. It's a 2-day event. Like, and it was with people who I know, like, and trust. So like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Right. I'm going to go spend a couple days in Columbia, South Carolina. Cool.
Of all places.
Yeah. And you got to put yourself out there. Like, one of the big things that I took away from the MyCore event then was opening up to allowing yourself to be vulnerable. You created a safe space and people talk about that, and we can say that. They have to engage with it to actually understand the quality of safety that you have in this room. Plug MyCore Collective in October. Be there.
Let's go. Yeah.
But you've got to feel that, and that's where it was. And so when I got there and I began organizing notes, taking notes, whatever it may be, that I just walked away with a lot of things that I could work on, both for myself personally, professionally. Like, what did we need to do at Higher COS? What did I need to do for specific clients? Hey, we need this at this client, this at this client. Here's a takeaway for that client. And so you just walked away with a really worthwhile experience. But at the end of the day, it was circling around and meeting and greeting with people that, like you said, are with MyCore, you know, along with my core, but that for my core is a different perspective. And people were shocked by it. Like, I remember people that were attending, they're like, why are you here? And I was like, I don't know, because I want to support Nathan, Laura, and the rest of you. And they have turned around and wanted to support me. So, like, why wouldn't I be here?
Well, it was so moving, man, having you there, that we went into our chambers, so to speak, after the event as an executive team and did what we've done numerous times, and sort of debrief the event and plan, do, review. And we just were like, man, it was really cool having Kyle here, right? Like, that changed the room, it changed the environment, it put us into a position where we weren't too lax around nomenclature or acronyms, or just like, you kind of get into your like internal use only, way of being. And it gets you kind of dull, right? Like, you're not as sharp when you aren't having to showcase the thing that you've built and are building. And it was so pivotal that I was having this like rumbling, and I've told this story a little bit. I'm kind of telling it on repeat because I think it was such an important inflection point in our journey and my journey, but also like there's a bigger picture here, I think, for people to listen to and maybe glean from, where like we don't want to be the best kept secret, right? In all our respective businesses. And you and I kind of chatted a little bit about this before we went live on this episode, this conversation around like personal brand and how you really do show up in this way without just seeming self-obsessed or narcissistic or like it's all about me, right? It's like, how do you thread that needle? And I think there's some art and science to that. But watching you experience the culture, see it for what it was, and then, we didn't shy away from things that were specific to our world, but they were still so universal in their like makeup that I think you were able to take like actual notes that you could apply that weren't just like specific to our solutions or specific to our culture.
Yeah.
And we hadn't even leaned into that. We hadn't even planned for that. It was just sort of organic. So then we said, well, what if we like fully committed to that? Like, what if our next event wasn't a company offsite? Obviously, our people are invited, but what if we actually went public with this thing? Like, we went to market and said, hey, we're going to be putting on an event. We're going to be putting on a conference. We're going to be building it in public, which is, talk about vulnerability. We're going to do it on like a zero budget. We're going to go get sponsors and ticket sales to even like put the thing on. And then we're going to put a collective of the best, one of which is you, that is going to grace the stage, crush it. And I'm pumped that like you have been such a champion for this like debut and sort of like promenade and like ecosystem that we've built and are building, that you have like a different take than some of the other speakers. And you're this sort of hybrid where like your one foot is planted in the MyCore world and the other is out in the market and in the real world. And I just am stoked to have you like in that capacity, man. And I know you're going to crush it when you hit your topic. So I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah, I never do.
I mean, there's this bridge, right, between like the vision that you guys had and the evolution of where you want to take these events, and like who do you ultimately want to reach, but also like why do you want to reach them and what do you want to communicate to them, right? And so it's evolved, it's changed, and you can have company events, and they're very valuable to get the team together and to harness a thought or what's our mission this year, our goals, objectives, whatever it may be, and to have it in that lane. This has taken on a different viewpoint where people can come, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business leaders. It's not like it's one voice, but like I said a few minutes ago, come and spend a little time in a different room than you're typically in, and take your small handwritten notes or grab AI like note taker clip thingy
Yeah.
now that I'm looking at like, but most importantly, like be around people who want to contribute, who want to empathize, at times sympathize, um, but that want to equally share stories. Like there's one thing to get up on stage and just talk, give your thing, and uh, collect your $0 paycheck or whatever it may be,
Hmm.
and then
Right.
take off. It's a different thing to say like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna speak to you right now, but like I'd rather be actually in the audience listening and
Right.
hearing. That's one of the other big things that I'm a proponent of is everybody should spend more time listening. They should actually spend more time hearing. Now, I don't, you can go through that a bunch of different ways, but people tend to communicate and they still hold a little bit back. And so, what are you really trying to say? Or what are you maybe nudging the door on a little bit? And maybe it's
Mm.
that vulnerable event in your life that, made a huge impact. Maybe it took some time to get out from under, but like you're better for it now. But they start nudging there, and then all of a sudden you privately or off to the side just help them nudge a little bit further. I don't know, but it's a room where you can hear.
Yeah, man. We're going to get into your specific story. I want to stay
Sure.
true to the kind of context of the MyCore podcast. If you've listened to it before, or if this is your first episode, you probably heard my little intro. I awkwardly like radio host late night speak into the microphone where I say the
Just don't
purpose
breathe
of
very
this
hard.
podcast. I know, man. The struggle's real. I need an inhaler for these episodes. But the purpose is to get to the core of people. So today we're going to do our darndest to get to the core of Kyle, good, bad, ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get there and kind of do it properly. I want to keep this conversation going here around this bold move we're making, because I think it's indicative of the market and like what is the future of business, or like kind of not even like the future, because it's like now, but I believe that community has been and always will be the core of, well, life for that matter, but particularly business.
Mm-hmm.
And in a post-COVID world where you can hop on from Cincinnati and from Jacksonville and do an episode together and then just live your life, you could go through your whole career and the lion's share of your interactions be one-dimensional with audio and visual.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get it to be like three-dimensional? You got to get caught in 4K, at these events, so that you are, like, as I put it, seeing the back of people's heads, right? Which now with this mullet, it's something actually to see, So before it was just
Depends on somebody's opinion, but you're good right now.
What'd you say?
Straight on is good, right?
Right.
Right now,
there.
your business and party in the front, so we don't need to get to
Right.
what the
I
definition
go
is.
like that and let it fan
Right.
out.
Yeah.
So all jokes aside, when you're in community and you go off site and you spend 2-3 days from the flight or the drive to the check-in to literally like the outfits that you choose, the socializing in between, it's this narrative. It's like this arc that you're in, and you still have real life at home and you have the challenges that you left there. But we want people to kind of leave those problems at the door, but also bring them right through the door, right? So it's this sort of combo of like, let's put our best foot forward, but let's get like real and raw about the not even intersection, collision between life and business. And I think that's what the brands that win here forward, that they get that, are going to win big, because they're creating a space like kind of you described, that it's safe, and not in like a DEI kind of way, and not in a like, contrived safe space, but like an actual like dojo of sorts, like a an area where you can grapple with it, you can sit with it, you can go, well, shit, they just shared something pretty personal but I see the through line to how that's informed their leadership style, or how that's informed their personal brand, or why they even chose that role or that industry or that, market to be in. And that's really like the purpose of the My Core Collective, is to create this aggregate and this collective and this sort of mastermind. And I think we're doing that with the Speaker Summit, man. So I'd love to hear your take on everything I just said, and maybe you could connect that to the way we're getting these speakers together leading up to the event.
Yeah, I like how you put that forward in terms of like, then, so what are you going to talk about? Cool. And this safe space and these things that come up and pulling it through the door, but it's also then going back to explain the decisions that you made, right or wrong, and how they made an impact on your business. Because there is a business element to this that, is a part of it. It's like a new version, a modern version of a retreat. When you think about it, because you everyone comes with a different purpose when they arrive. They have a different preset purpose, objective, reason as to why they are taking the time to come and be a part of an event. Okay. I guarantee you when they leave, some of those are going to get checked off. Some of those points are going to be completely new, and some are going to be something in the middle. But it won't be the exact same thing when they leave on Thursday, okay, from when they get there on Monday. And that's because you're going to have value in things that you're going to take away, stories that you're going to share, things of that nature. So, just to add on and kind of maybe cap off this point, the interesting thing about being a contributor, I'm using this word with you and your team, this ambassador, since I've been a part of the ancillary periphery of My Core for a while, that you get to lean in. The purpose and my agenda for this is completely different than it was X number of months ago from Colombia. It's totally different. I'm in a different place, and I'm going to interact in a different way. And so what are the things that I want to take about it individually? What we're then organizing as a speaker group, every other Tuesday, we're iteratively talking about everything that we're doing individually and collectively to contribute to the event, is so that we have micro alignment milestones along the way, so that when we get to, Oregon in late September, a couple of days before the event, I'm going to walk off the plane and feel like I've known all these people already, just like you and I did in March. And so all that does is just galvanize this group. And I think that's why it's so unique. There's a quick caveat story. So I'm a part of an advisory group to a executive recruiting team company here in Cleveland. And they have these advisors throughout the country.
Oh, I said Cincinnati earlier.
Oh, don't worry about it. The Bungles are the Bungles. We don't talk about Cincinnati. We just don't say it. So this advisory group, as a part of this executive recruiting firm, has these advisors throughout the world. We're all over the place. We get on a call every month. And one of the speakers a couple months ago is actually from Oregon, about 2 hours south of Eugene. And he kind of does fractional marketing, fractional CMO, really interesting guy. So I shoot him an email after his presentation, really liked some of the things that he talked about and wanted to talk about what I could do for hire CEOs, etc. All of a sudden, I start talking about, hey, by the way, I'm going to be at this event, this My Core Collective, and here's what it's about. And, here's some information about it. Let me know if you have interest and if you want other questions. And he and I talk like every 2 to 3 weeks just to, brain dump and pass along ideas. We haven't even done business together between companies. And sure enough, he signed up and he's coming.
I think I saw this. Yeah.
I cannot wait to, this sounds so great. I'm going to come up. I've known this person for 3 months, maybe. I've talked to him 3 times, and what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to come and get a couple of takeaways. That's what's going to happen. So, to your point about building this, it takes a village, it takes a tribe, and that's just where we are. So we take that position and we amplify.
Good. I want to keep talking about this because you're inspiring some thought around like the intention. So Ellen Yin, who's one of our keynotes, she and
excited to meet her in person.
She's a beast. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We hung out. And talk about putting in the work. Like I was out there a few weeks ago. I get on a plane this Saturday, the 30th of August, and I'm there for 9 days.
Okay.
I'm going to her event, and we're Laura's flying in. Like we're going to this Bloom Together event to both experience and support her brand and her community. So she and I did an episode together, and we talked a lot about this same topic around community, and I call it like business as a community. So this idea that I have like a little visual for it and everything, and I've just been like going like, because I get these questions. It was kind of similar to the sentiment that you shared with me, where you were like, hey, I'm going to come out there because I've watched my core transform. I've watched it grow and develop these last 3+ years. And I want to see it in 4K. I want to see it like upfront and personal. So there's like a method to that madness. It's not all art. There's an actual like scientific method. So anywho, she and I were talking about this, and it's a different approach on like your network is your net worth, right? It's far more operating in depth. Most people are an inch deep and a mile wide. And I think there was a time where that width might have been okay. Like just the sheer numbers or the amount of people that you were kind of spraying and praying with your message. But now it's the complete opposite. It's how are you an inch wide and a mile deep? And how do you build an ecosystem and a root system that feeds off of one another so that every move you make, every lever you pull is a chain reaction to multiple other levers. And that's something I'm maybe, I don't know, better than most at, or I just have like a knack for. So this event is sort of like the manifestation, if you will, or the even like illustration, the showcase of building a collective, of truly like aggregating everything that you do so that none of it is ever insignificant. Like every meeting you take, every email you send, every phone call that you're on, you can see the thread that it's connected to, and it makes you show up differently in those moments because you're like tethered to the narrative. And then it culminates into this moment that you get to have, and you build like actual core memories, right? Like there's probably moments that you had in Columbia, South Carolina, of all places, with about 40 people in this like boutique hotel that you're like, I remember that shit. It was fun or funny.
Yeah. I think it's, you've got me now thinking like of random highlights from Columbia that were absolutely off the cuff hilarious.
Oh my god! At dinner, I know we were geeking out that first night.
Yeah, there was dinner. There was and someone just triple ordering chicken on their salad because they were proteining out hard. Like there was getting food at a student food court and like being surrounded by college kids, and like I'd like to think that it's not that long since I was in school, but like the way that you now order in college, like order lunch or whatever, is completely different than anything that like is it's Uber Eats to the nines.
Dude, you will feel like 100 years old when you're on these college campuses. Like I'm like, yeah, college wasn't that long ago, right? And I'm like,
can't wait.
These are chill. This is daycare. Like,
yeah, and I've got to make sure. Is it a prerequisite that we have Nikes? I don't know.
Right, dude. I've been getting my Nike.
Yeah, right.
Up.
Yeah, you're on brand. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting for me to see again. I feel like I'm on this periphery. I'm in this back and forth, the ether, if you will, which is how I describe a chief of staff. I'm in the ether between pure MyCore and the new people that are going to be participating or attending, and to watch it grow and evolve from March to the event in October and then forward. Like someone may not be able to attend the event in 2026 or the first event in 2026, doesn't mean you're not going to gain 3 or 4 more. Like there's going to be this kind of cloud building surge.
I'd love to kick this around with you. So this is like hot off the press, like fresh.
Ooh,
fresh
breaking
daily.
News? Do we get the like na-na-na?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So Laura, and I fancy myself probably to a fault. Like I'm the ideation guy. Like we went through the 6 types of working genius. Laura was amazing in facilitating it. And then Brett, who is a mentor of mine, a brother in Christ, and he leads an organization called Greater Purpose Advisors, which is a peer advisory organization for Christian CEOs. And I'm part of his group, and I'm part of and I should say executives. They're not all CEOs, but they're all C-suite. And there's probably about 25 people between the 2 groups that meet. And it was interesting what you just said, Kyle, because he's been kind of crafting his branding. We've helped him with it and messaging, and he's calling these monthly all-day events retreats, and just sort of like unveiled that to us and said like, hey, I'm shifting the name of these. They were called forums before to retreats. He said, and then he read off the definition of a retreat, right? And you think of retreat like you're going to be doing yoga and there might be a goat on your back, or like you don't have to go to Costa Rica and like completely unplug from business and life to find reprieve, you know what I mean? Yeah. And to get a retreat and to get perspective and to zoom out. So nonetheless, he helped us through that process, and ideation and galvanizing were my zones of genius. So I guess I come up with an idea and then I like get everyone pumped about it, right? That's sort of my thing. Luckily, I have a team. That's
pretty apropos.
Is that pretty? Because are you familiar with Patrick Lencioni and the 6 types? You kind of perked up there.
No, I haven't. I'm always into that kind of stuff. I love that. Figuring jam, out, though, right? I'm according to the books over there, whomever, Les McEwen, I'm a synergist, right?
Okay.
So Let's bring everybody together. Let's make sure everybody understands how to block and tackle in their individual roles or who they are as an individual. But let's get after the goal and the task, and let's achieve together. That's my
collectively, if you will.
Yeah, collectively.
Right.
I think we can, like, looking at it in so many different ways. You can spend too much time sometimes trying to define and describe. Just let it be. Like, set it and let it be. And that's where the collective is. I think the name's perfect. I think that's exactly where it is. It is a retreat. Some of these other things can get a little stagnant in their terminology and their use. That's okay.
And we're leaning into that notion, man. Like this idea that, okay, twice a year, I don't think that's even enough. So here's what Laura's idea was, right? And she hit me with it on Friday, and this is the hot off the press. Like we're kicking this around. So cool. we'll mastermind it, workshop it right now a little bit. And I think you may have some hot takes on it. So we are going to be in Eugene, Oregon, September 29th. We'll be at the Speakeasy with the final speaker summit. Actually, we'll be doing a speaker summit after to relish in the event and, high five and everything, virtually like we have been on Zoom. But this one will be in person. And I'm so excited for this crescendo because I think people have already been connecting with one another. I've heard of people doing Zoom meetings and then even in person getting together. So this true collective of about 15 powerhouse people. I mean, these are not oh yeah, I can share. It's no, these are keynotes. These are movers. These are shakers. This is the cream of the crop. Have already been building community, allowing iron to sharpen iron. And then we're going to go off kind of site from the event on Monday, the 29th. And then we go into sessions for 2 power pack days, the 30th and the 1st of October. And I'm just stoked for this arc of the story. But what we realized, because we joined the Eugene Chamber of Commerce, and I have my team calling through their directory and making personal invites. And we have already brought or sold, I guess you could say, probably a dozen tickets to people that are right there in Eugene.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's there's enough of a market there.
bring the community to the community. That's awesome.
Right.
Very cool.
Right. So then there's a couple things we're kicking around. One is these My Core Collective pop-ups where we would come into, I don't know, Cleveland, and we would find like a cool venue. Could be a coffee shop, could be a brewery, just little elevate a little bit, but a little back room action somewhere where like people can come together. Mm-hmm. And then I personally would fly into that market and do this pop-up with a local champion, with a local ambassador, right? Somebody that says like, hey, I want to get the good news out there and I want to connect people and I want to Johnny Appleseed this thing.
Yeah.
And then that way in a particular market, whether it's like the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest, ideally you would factor in geography a bit so that it's collecting, you know what I mean? It's culminating, it's compounding to the next big event. And then one of the ideas that came from this that was all Laura was like, hey, what if we built this collective of speakers? And I had just watched on the plane back from Oregon, The Greatest Showman, which I've seen a few times now. And I'm like, are you talking like the My Core circus? Like a traveling circus? Like, yes, I am so in. Like, I want the freaking red tuxedo with the freaking tail, I'm like, what if we put this team of misfits together and we said to the Eugene Chamber of Commerce or to the company that already has a community and a network, like, we're going to descend on your town and you're going to sell the tickets. Like, you're going to pack the room and we're going to put on a freaking show. We're going to pop open the red and white striped tent and like Cirque du Soleil style, we're going to drop in on this collective. And then it sort of would become just as much about finding the right ensemble of speakers that come together. And not that this is a new idea per se, but what I haven't seen is a collective of people that aren't the highest profile prima donna speakers. Like, you see that, right? Like, we've all seen that image and it's something like Growth Convention or like Elevated or Impact to Juia, and you're just like, okay, so like those are the people that are like each getting paid $100,000, buy my book, come to my seminar, and you've collected them. And then now it's just like a big lights, camera, action. But what if you could decentralize that?
Yeah.
And have it be like pop-up style and smaller venues and a cool like historic theater on a main street versus like the huge conference center where everybody is sort of just going through the motions. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here on like almost a decentralized version?
I'm balancing this like showman type of perspective, but also like practicality, because that's sometimes I get back into that lane. Like, if you think about it this way, in a post-COVID world, like, most people have moved out of big cities, right? They've been able to go hybrid, remote, or there has been a shift. We hear about it in the news all the time. If you follow real estate, if you follow financials of anything that's going on in the country, like, smaller cities have seen booms. Cleveland, of course, Ohio cities. There's been actually a reverse now in like the Sun Belt. So like these cities that you're talking about, off the top of my head, Chattanooga's, Knoxville's, not all of them are college towns, but a lot of them are. Milwaukee's, things of that nature. Love the Chicago's, love the LA's. Who doesn't? We all do. No, live there, done it. It has its purpose.
And it's on brand for us because we've always said My Core is made for Main Street. So it's like, how do we go to these big, small towns and like show up and like put energy towards them all the way leading up to the event and all these pop-ups surrounding it? Because there's always that cool town that you're like, yeah, not everyone knows about this, but like 30 miles west of Chattanooga or of Cleveland, there's like this sick town where they have these really cool businesses and really cool people. So that's kind of the vision. It sounds like you're picking up what.
And the other piece to this is like, thrilled to hear the traction and the thought of like going after the Chamber of Commerce. Like, one of the things that I've learned in the year of being this solopreneur is like, there are so many organizations that I never even knew existed in my city that are looking to help grow and gain and build companies within the city. Like they need that, right? Everyone has a need and a want. You find that and you try to find a balance that's genuine and authentic to help each other out. So, there's plenty of organizations that I'm a part of here that I think would love to hear about the fact that MyCore would want to put in a pop-up collective here and help drive the thinking, because it actually takes some of the thought leadership experience of putting on the event off of them. Like they're probably thinking to themselves, hey, I'd love to do this, but how am I going to get all of this? Well, we're the traveling roadshow. We even have monkeys on our shoulders, and like we come in and, and here we go. That's a pretty easy sell.
Right. And it's a couple things. Familiarity breeds contempt. And even a prophet isn't heard in their own backyard. So you have people that are in the backyard of that market that are like the real deal, but they need some gravitas. They need some lights, camera, action to see somebody like put differently. When this gentleman that you invited that has gotten his ticket comes up to the event and he sees Kyle in front of 100, 150 people on the top floor of the Graduate Hotel overlooking a really cool city with a backdrop of like pine trees on like mountains and shit. I mean, I was just there and I'm going to be there again next week. It's beautiful. And it's got like this just tone to it, especially late September, October, where it's just kind of like cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're just like, it's actually, there's like a chill in the air. He will never see you the same because you in that little tile on Zoom cannot bring the energy that you can at an event like that. No. So one thing we've tried to equip in our speakers is like, you need to be the greatest promoter of this event because people are going to see you, not to mention we're going to be capturing it on video. There's going to be social media content. I mean, even if it was like a fake event and there was no audience, it would be valuable, right? But in the very moment in real life that we're doing it IRL with the capturing of the content, it's going to be freaking epic. I'm positive of it. Well, these markets need the people from out of town to come to prophesize, so to speak, right? They need to come like share what's up. And then we would select locally. And we kind of did this without even realizing it. So Jason and Ellen and Samantha are all local to Eugene, regionally within an hour's drive. And then Curtis and Susan Marie, who are MCs and just amazing leaders themselves and speakers, by the way. You're going to see that you've already seen it, but intermittently throughout the event. So it's like we're really putting this formula together, this like equation. And I think there's a missing piece in the market. And then it can trickle down into the other areas that MyCore builds and goes to market. But I think there's something special about the way the MyCore brand is developing. And I want to have it be so inclusive of the right people like you. So it's this interesting kind of inclusion exclusion component too, where it's like, yeah, everybody's welcome, but only by way of this narrow path. And then the right people just find a way to be there.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing will be to find the locations, like to look at the cities that are, I don't want to say like up and coming, but like fit that profile. And then like, so who are the people that are near or in those locations that can be those champions? And, there's a way that MyCore, based off of your experience of sending these, of spinning up these events, can help build and grow their experience level of what they need to do to push themselves in that form of professional development. And then there's things that you're doing within the community. There's people that you're bringing along, because not everybody has, I don't want to say the means, but just the want or the desire or the willingness to like jump on a plane. So sometimes you've got to go meet people where they are. Right. And I talk a lot about, my session is going to be about bringing people along, right?
That
People
was actually my
development.
next question. So
Yeah.
if I could tee you up for that, because it would be a good way to probably segue into more your personal journey and story. So you're at the MyCore Collective. It's your segment. You step on the stage. You're going to lead with who you are. So I know you'll share, a bit about you as Kyle. Just Kyle. I'm joking. And tell us what you're going to be talking about, and then I'd love to connect that to some of your personal journey.
Yeah, so a little bit of a caveat. So as we spin into that, look, leadership can be defined in a lot of different ways. And the fun part about leadership is you get to pick and choose based off of circumstance, scenario, individual, team. Who are you speaking to as an organization? You're speaking to sales, operations, billing, whatever it means. It doesn't matter. But each thing has to be a little bit different. What has always been a huge part for me as a leader has been the importance of bringing others along. Not necessarily always behind me or under me that work with me, for me, but just where do you want to go in your career and how can I help you get there? And I may not be able to do it myself, but maybe I know somebody who can help you, or I can go tap a resource and we can see how we can block and tackle something together. But it's very, very important, and always has been a very important part of my life to bring somebody along. And it comes from, I think, really two different.
Well, I was going to say, what's the origin? Because I think that this is a mindset, right? Like you can get into the tactics, you can get into the how you do it. And I get asked that question a lot in my journey, my practice, like, Nathan, how? And I'm like, you have the right letters, but they're in the wrong order. This isn't HOW, this is WHO. So it's like,
correct.
Who in Kyle is the output that person? Because sometimes you just get locked into what you're doing and you get known for it. It's like day in the life type shit. But the reality of it is Kyle could be a plumber. Nothing wrong with being a plumber. Kyle could be an accountant. Nope. Kyle could be living under a bridge. Kyle could be a crackhead. Kyle could be, there's so many butterfly effect moments in our lives. And I'm just kind of curious, like, you're a developed dude, man. Like the first time that we met, we had this conversation that I was like, I don't have that conversation every day. Like that was refreshing. This was, and then we just kind of were like, well, I want more of that, right? Like I want to do that more. No diddy, so it was like I'm curious just in your journey, like how did you become this guy? You're pretty capable dude, man. I mean, from the moment I met you, I thought you were Bradley Cooper. I was like, shit.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Thank you very much. I hope that I keep that going.
No, that's alive and well in my mind. I just didn't want it to get awkward.
So like an origin moment. So like maybe a lot of people, my dad was my champion, my superhero. Very fortunate to have a father that I was gifted, and he afforded our family a wonderful life growing up. And he taught me, I don't necessarily know when this came into my mind, but it was a long time ago. Now that I'm 41. He taught me that the most important thing you can ever do is once you take on a new role or position or an opportunity is to train your replacement. And you'd think, well, why would you do that? You're going to train yourself out of a job. And
precisely
in a couple of stories, I actually did.
Yeah, it backfired a little bit.
Well, it depends on if it backfired, but I actually did kind of
that's awesome.
Ixnay myself. But it's the importance of like passing on some of the things that would help that person develop, letting them engage in whatever it is that you're working on to contribute and listen, because they're going to have different points of view that you don't have, because we don't all have the answers. I know we hear that a lot. People may not actually listen or hear that. So that was always a big lesson point for my dad. Now,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's
and you mentioned your senior year. Was that pretty consistent through your childhood? Like things, riding a bike or fishing? Like, did you have a father figure that was sewing into you and pouring into you through adolescence as well?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was with us, as much as he could. He was running 5 different companies. He
Wow.
he made as many baseball games as he could have, um, and he was he was always there early mornings. I'm getting all these flashbacks now, PTSD, so to speak, of like
Right.
7 a.m. Like, where are my boys? My brother and I,
Yeah.
and we'd be in the yard, like landscaping and doing whatever we needed around the house all day long. And my mom's like, "Would you just let him sleep in for once, for crying out loud?" And my brother got that a little bit more than I did because he was 7 years after me. But um, we enjoyed being together and working together. And I was always trying to take tidbits, um, either from my dad or the people that he surrounded me with. If it was a trade show that he was you know, chairing, I was 13 wearing a tux and just trying to learn from all these business leaders, just trying to take things in,
That's
which ended
awesome.
up being like I remember sitting at a dinner table when I was about 17, 18 years old. My dad wanted to like merge the companies, put a holding company together, do all these things. And we're at this dinner with him and his business partner, and it's white paper, and they have this Sharpie, and they're drawing all these circles,
Wow, that's
right?
awesome.
And I'm sitting there, 2 gentlemen and me. I'm 16, 17 years old, somewhere in there. And and all these, we're there for like 3 hours. And then they're like, "Kyle, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You've got more circles and lines and things like, okay, here and here and here, and like that's how
That's
my
awesome.
mind works." And they both looked at each other, and then they looked at me, and I was like, "Oh, shit, did I say something?" And then they go, "New piece of paper," and ripped it off and like
That's
started
awesome.
again. And they like created, and I just like, I've always seen things kind of simplistically, but
Right.
I'm bringing that story up because these are all little events and stories that now start to trigger as we're having these conversations.
Right.
I don't know if there's one event. I'm actually
Yeah. Yeah.
grateful that there isn't one event. I'm
Right.
glad that there are probably one, um, two, a handful
A
of
collection. Yeah. A
events,
collective. Yeah.
a collection of events that are all unique and different, however, do have common um, requirements of me
Hmm.
in order to persevere, get through them, learn, experience life. And not until probably I was in my mid 30s did those then culminate when uh, frankly I was going through a divorce.
Hmm.
um, did all the life lessons come to be one that said, okay, this is an incredibly difficult decision for me to make. I understand that there are a lot of other people that are going to be affected, but based off of what I have learned about myself, what I have come to learn about this particular aspect of my life, I have to make this decision and live with it. And so maybe they all boiled or culminated to that, but then there's also been more. There's been 3 or 4 experiences after that that have all continued to build, and I think that's the best part of that life is what's the next one.
You're reading my mail, man. That's that's good stuff.
Yeah,
One of my best friends, Luke, said this to me years ago, and any chance I get an opportunity to share it, I do. He said, everyone's trying to make the right decision, but really you make a decision and then you make it right. And
yeah,
that was
I think that's
empowering. And that, yeah, like it almost sounds like you had that pivotal moment where you made a decision And then there's other decisions that you made that were connected to that decision.
Yeah.
But those might have been the ones that you were making right. You didn't make the right decision. You made the decision. And
Right.
then the events that followed, you made right because you had your head on correctly. You didn't dip into addiction or to these things that can, because this is divorce you're talking about, which is a biggie.
I did the complete reverse of that. I went pretty stone cold, like sober, so to speak. I mean,
Yep.
every once in a while you got to take a little bit off the edge there. You're going through a lot,
Right.
but
especially in Eugene, Oregon, at the end
yeah,
of
right. Like, got really into working out. It just felt like, hey, if you're going to make this decision, just what you said. I remember thinking to myself back in late 17, early 18, kind of in that time. If you're going to make this decision, which to date is the biggest decision that you are going to make in your life, you better be absolutely mind clear about what it is that you're going to do, so that when you wake up every morning and you go to bed every night and you look at yourself in the mirror, typically when you're brushing your teeth and taking your contacts out, because I'm blind as hell.
Oh, me too, man.
you can rest easy on the pillow as best as you possibly can, because you're not gonna get any sleep leading up to that decision. And the moment that decision hits, the emotional weight that will pour off of you, but the process that your body will go through to let that go and recoup all that energy is going to be what you actually really feel.
Wow.
And my parents got divorced. So you would think like, hey, you wouldn't make the same, not mistakes,
Right.
but choices that
Decision.
your parents made.
Yeah.
I watched my parents divorce while I was in college. Started my freshman year, depending on who you talk to, ended much longer after that. And thankfully I did graduate in 4 years. So timeline. But you watch that and you observe that. I'm 18 years old into my 20s, and I'm following that, and it's like, I didn't look for that. I didn't want that. I didn't lead my life to then getting divorced in my first marriage. But that's how it went. And so then when given that opportunity, I did know exactly what I was going to do, which was very clean, very responsible, very respectful. This is how it's going to be. We're not going to, let's handle this the right way. And thankfully that's how it went. And then the story of it leading to my wife now, it's not to say that what it is, but where my life is now, happy, content, true to myself, authentic, still very empathetic and sorry to a degree of having to make that decision. But the consequences of not making that decision, that what if path is far more dark and difficult to comprehend, given who I want to be as an individual and what I want to be to the people around me, than having made the decision, fought and went in a different path.
Damn, dude. Good shit. Heavy.
Yeah.
You alluded to this, Laura's talk in Colombia. Well, that must have just hit home for you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that did. All of them. I mean, all of the sessions did, and I'm not trying to just blanket it, but there are so many unique things to take away from each one. But yes, I mean, Laura was open around, her parents and the difficulties that it put on her family moving, like across the country, then back, and all these things, and all of those points around divorce, but anything that happens difficult within a family is hard. And my wife lost her mother at a very early age. 20s, and how that affected her. And it's not easy, you know. I lost my grandfather, who I was extremely close to, who I'm partially named after, when I was 13, 1997. Never talked to him on the phone. He was never old school. He was like the original MacGyver. This guy could fix anything, right?
That's awesome.
I remember the day they got like a handheld phone, because it used to be the old rotary dial phones.
Yep.
For those kids out there, pagers, copiers, fax machines, rotary phones.
Even I'm old enough to know that.
Yeah. And so one night I'm staying at a friend's house. My parents are out of town with my brother. They're at a business conference. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to call Grandma and Grandpa. And my grandmother picks up the phone. And I said, hey, Grandma, would you mind taking the phone to Grandpa? I'd love to just say good evening and tell him I love him, and so on and so forth. Okay. Walks out, and I can picture her walking down the hallway in their home that they lived in for like 50 years. And he's in his lazy boy in the corner watching the Discovery Channel, probably Popular Mechanics. And, hello? And, hey, Grandpa, it's Kyle. Hey, everything okay? You good? Yeah, I'm good. Hey, I just wanted to tell you I love you, and so on and so forth. Next day, he died of a massive heart attack.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it's like
something in you just compelled,
something. Yeah. And, there's times where that's, I don't know. I can't name it. I'm not, I am not the most religious person. I'm more spiritual. It's just the way that I feel about the world. But something told me to pick up the phone. I picked up the phone. So again, not to, the purpose of this is to explore a lot of these different stories. Yeah. I think, again, there isn't one. It's about multiple, and it's about being aware in life that there should be more than one. If you're creating a life for yourself, there should be more than one opportunity. There should be more than one take on things. And
then can you like connect the dots, right? Like,
yeah,
I think there's a skill set in that where sometimes it's glaring, sometimes it's just so obvious, like, whoa, look at these two things. They're totally connected. I really put work in to find those through lines. Like sometimes you don't want to force it, because then it's just like, really? My mom, bless her heart, like,
love your mom, by the way. Love your mom.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know my mom.
Got to take her up on the invite. Yeah, got to get down there.
Yes, so we give her flack because, with 9 children and a lot of adversity, I think you got to make sense of all of it, and you got to kind of connect it, or you'll lose your damn mind. But like sometimes we're like, no, Mom, like we're not. That's not. Nope. Like that is random as shit.
That's not necessarily how it happened, or will happen, or what have you. Let's go with it.
No, that they didn't have to happen. You know. So, but it sounds like in these events, these series of events, these collections, there's themes that arise that continue to fuel who you are, like perpetuate this person that you are. And then also, like, you're young, you're 41, dude, like,
thanks for saying that. I forget that every once in a while. I need to like remind myself, like, hey man, you're okay. You're good.
Yeah,
all right,
dude, you're good, man. You're doing just freaking fine.
Like there's dots, right? And there's things that you take, like we talked about, and like it almost helps you like recognize it faster when you get to the next one, what to do, or to recognize what those building blocks were that have brought you along, that have also led you to make bad decisions. So you recognize those a little bit faster, thankfully. And I remember a mentor of mine once said, don't ever make any life-altering decisions, negative life-altering decisions. And that's always another one that's kind of stuck in my head. I'm like, well, what's the definition of a negative life altering decision?
Like, how do you gauge that?
Yeah, like, I mean, is it going too deep on the blackjack table? Is it like what do we,
Right.
like, I'm not a gambler, but so that maybe has been a
I'm
big
not a
thing.
gambler either, man.
Yeah,
It
I'm not
gets
really
lost
into it.
on me.
It doesn't do
I
it.
like
Fantasy.
building shit.
Yeah, too much time drinking coffee in good coffee shops. So,
Yeah, man.
hashtag Cortado life. But,
That's awesome.
yeah, I don't know. I would just say, like, kind of in summary, if you would, like, you get one shot at this thing. There is no dress rehearsal. And so, like, just enjoy the ride. Like, and there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be ups and downs. Sometimes you dust yourself off. You get up from the plate, you dust yourself off. Sometimes you get up and you don't. You know, leaving the dust on the jersey says something different back to the opposing team or to your team.
Man.
I don't know. But
good.
Being aware, people want to say today, present in life, a lot of fun. Even in the difficult days, like being a solopreneur and you're up at 3:00 in the morning, and you're freaking out because you owe somebody money, and like, how are you going to get it done, or what else is going to happen?
Hypothetical, of course.
Yeah, hypothetical, never happened before.
Never happened.
Or like, you know, why is this client ghosting me? Or, you know, what's going on at home, and you really want to get this done, and you know, maybe your wife really wants to get this next project or whatever, but you just can't figure it out right now. Like messaging it, I don't know. Just whatever happens in life is a lot more fun than not having it.
Right, man.
It's just
right. I mean, that's the thing. That attitude of gratitude is so hard to keep in perspective. I mean, I'm struggling with this in my parenting, where I just grew up the way I grew up, which was in poverty, and my kids grow up in privilege, and they're just like good kids, like absolutely, and they're polite and they're well mannered and they're structured and like, but they're kids, you know. So I got them, all four of them, new shoes this weekend, and you know, school's back in session, so it was a little bit back to school, and it was fun, it was funny, it was a whole thing, and then there was just like this kind of moment where they were being kids, really, particularly kids in 2025.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of snapped. I mean, it's relative. So like when I snap, that's like hold the phone. But this was just like a little jolt of like, are you guys freaking kidding me right now? Yeah. I was like, and all my shit came up, of course. Like I was like, do you have any idea, like, the idea of even getting a new pair of shoes was a foreign concept. And they're all looking at me like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
What's
and I'm
that
like,
on?
But I just got all of you brand new shoes. Look at your feet right now. You are rocking some fresh kicks. Right. And we're at Five Guys. And I don't know if you know, but it takes Five Guys' salary to afford this place. Like the freaking price of burgers and fries. I just dropped $70 for you to eat half of this food after spending $300 on shoes. Yeah. Like, and I'm just like going off. They've already like left the moment.
Right.
And I'm just like, there like by myself, like, what in the
mouths
fuck?
drop, fries hanging out of their mouth. They're like, okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, I love you. Enjoy the food. Just fuck.
Like, Dad, go get yourself a milkshake.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's hard to balance that attitude of gratitude when you live in the first world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but it sounds like you have a knack for that, man, that you can like, you can frame out those moments and see them as special and meaningful and be mindful of them. I think that's something that is really important to like cultivate in a skill set.
Yeah, it's thank you for saying that, because I
totally.
I want that to be one of the things that maybe I'm known for throughout life, like not just this period of life, but like but it's also that's a story that evolves, right? That's a story that takes experience after experience after experience and just continues to kind of matriculate forward. I think that's also a really important part. It's not about matriculating up. it's about matriculating forward. Because there's going to be times where you get knocked backward again, and it could come from a variety of different ways, and sometimes very unexpectedly. So it's okay. How can you? What's the process then to like ground yourself and work back through it, so that if you have to take a step backward, you're taking 2 steps forward. I don't want to say more quickly, probably more deep, more effectively than you would have done before. So yeah, I think it comes from probably a lot of observance. I was told when I was a kid I was very observing. Like we would travel, I'd be in the airport, and I wanted to know all the gates. I read all the boarding passes, telling my parents like, "Hey, by the way, we're like totally an hour late, and we're going to miss this flight." And my dad's sitting there like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, look at the boarding pass." And it was the old printed boarding passes, the old school ones, and because again, kids out there, not everything was on your phone. Like there actually was no cell phone.
And if your phone, you didn't have one, you could still get on the plane.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You could actually go meet people at the gate who were coming to visit you, and you could walk out.
God, so no, that takes me back. That I remember that even. Yeah.
Crazy, like, right? So
somebody just sitting at the gate for you. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, it's just I've always been into like looking surroundings, what's around me, taking it all in, and I think that's helped build like a level of awareness, then a level of empathy. That was another thing that both my parents were very, very strong on. Empathy, understand what does it mean to be the other person in the conversation, know when to take the watch off. Hey, walk the shop floor, take the tie off, take your watch off, walk the shop floor, shake everybody, hand and eye, and treat everybody how you want to be treated. And then when you have to go up for the board meeting or whatever it may be, tie back on, straighten up, let's go.
Yeah.
And I've been able to get exposed to a lot.
Yeah, and you have this quality that I aim to have. I typically will tilt more on the intense side than the relaxed side, but I call it a relaxed intensity. Where you're like you're deathly serious about your goals. You're a dog on a bone when it comes to the trajectory of your life, but you're playing a long enough of a game and putting it all into perspective that you have this sort of relaxation, chill component. And every time we've interacted, it has felt like a casual conversation that was very focused and full of like meaningful shit. I mean, we don't typically talk about, I don't know, the weather or even sport. I'm not really into sports, so I'm not your guy. If you're good, if you want to talk about it, I'm like, I'll pretend for a little bit, but I'd rather talk about building shit and and navigating it. So I think you have that relaxed. I know you have that relaxed intensity. This other quality that I've observed in you is something that I have been kicking around in creating content for, and it's a little bit edgy.
Cool.
And it's this idea around likability.
Oh.
Like, okay. Hey, be likable. Like you're not born with likability. Like you have to be it. You have to learn it. You have to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. You have to actually shut the fuck up and care about what the other person is saying.
Yeah.
Like you do have to smile and laugh and then like bring your own jokes to the table from time to time. Like I've been thinking about doing this sort of like series of like likability because I think a lot of times people just give in or give up, and you're just one of the most likable guys. Like we dig you, we love you, I love you, no Diddy, right? And it's like that doesn't just freaking happen. You could be a dick, you could be arrogant, you could have been like yeah, like I get that all the time. Oh, like the Bradley Cooper thing, it's like you played it cool. Like you have these ways that you take compliments, give compliments, share thoughts, receive thoughts. Like you just you know what you're doing, man, and I dig it. And it's like, I want guys like that, people like that in my collective, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my circle. I want them on the stages that I'm on and in the circles that I'm around. And I don't try to like stake claim because you're you, but like, I'm proud of this group that's coming together for this event, because it's like, takes one to know one type shit. So anyway, you're just super likable. Like, I'm not that likable. I want to be that likable.
I appreciate that very much. I think it's
Give us
like,
some nuggets on being so damn likable, Kyle.
Look, I think it's just like, it goes back to what we talked.
Just like
it's what we talked about before. I like people. If you like people, then you're going to be likable. I mean, you got to know, like, and trust, right? To know somebody could be simply to know who they are, what's their name, where they're from. It can be very surface level to know somebody. Now you can somebody could run that and be like, well, to know somebody is this and this.
Right.
To like somebody takes time. But I think there is an approach, and I've really brought this to the surface within my core values over the past 10 months, is to be genuinely authentic. Like, it's something that I actually have to, my wife reminds me, like, just be you, because I have had all these experiences in my life. And so somebody once introduced me, one of my good friends in high school introduced me in my senior speech. He's the guy who could wake up in the morning, cook a 5-star breakfast, go ski all day, wind up at a black tie, and then go like hot air balloon riding or something. Like, I do all these things.
Just epic shit.
Yeah. And my wife's like, hey, like, just be you. Like, she's really great at grounding me. That's probably because she's known me since I was 13. But it's just this wanting to know more about the other person than really probably wanting to give away about myself, unless you show interest. And I'm not to say I'm private. I've become unapologetically authentic, and truly genuine. And then I lead by, I relish accountability. I absolutely relish it.
Cool.
And then there's empathy, and there's just enjoy fun. I don't know. It's kind of like what you choose to do. And there's a lot of similarities between the values that you've put forth for yourself and for my core, which is obviously, my core is a collective. Like, there's a lot of people that are involved behind my core. They have bought into you because they know, like, and trust you. You are that shield. That shield is you. It's your brand. That's who you are. And cool. I think I'm seeing that as, okay, how do I do that for myself? And like we talked about jumping on the podcast today, not being self-aggrandizing, not coming off as disingenuine or non-authentic, but living it your true self. And like, you just kind of figure it out. And I think if you handle that, then yeah, you're probably pretty likable.
Right. Yeah. And you do it well, man. And that is a really hard space to occupy. We were kind of chatting about it before, and as we kind of round third base, I want to tease that out a little bit, because I think there's a nugget or two in there. And some of this, per usual, just world according to Nathan, world according to Kyle, right? People can take it for whatever they want. But I've had this idea in my mind for some time around a mixed bag. And you hear that a lot, like, oh, it's a mixed bag, right? It's a blend. It's a mix. And I think at first glance, I used to always think of that as some like integration or happy medium, or if you're looking at it like on a political spectrum, it's not red or blue, it's purple. And I have found that in my leadership, in my way, like kind of even persona, because I've had to like kind of crack the code, and I'm doing it currently. Like, this is a current grapple of like scaling who I am. Like, it's a weird concept. I don't wish it upon a lot of people. If I could just be like a chill, normal dude that didn't give a shit about things and feel like I might be able to impact them or at least, help, I would just live my life. But I feel this calling. I feel this like compel to make a way in the world and be a leader, because I look at leadership at large and I'm like, this is not good. This is not like, the future's not bright based on our current supply of leadership.
Depending on where you want to look. Yeah, no, it's not strong.
We've got a major drought and scarcity going on. We've got a supply chain issue on leadership. In fact, one other potential like crystallized thought, and I know you're a specific is terrific kind of guy, we're potentially going to lean fully into leadership for the MyCore Collective post Eugene, where it's like, this is a leadership development event, brand.
Yeah.
Because it's like that. And I think what could be really cool about that, and then I want to get back to the rabbit hole within the rabbit hole, not this rabbit hole. It's
take
like,
me wherever you want to go.
Right. I can show you the world. So like, there's a lot of like self-proclaimed leadership gurus, and I'm perfectly fine with them. I've read most of their books. I have built my kit of parts from these philosophies, from these thought leaders. And some of it's timeless. So some of it's about 2,000 years old. A lot of it for me is the Bible. And then there's, ancient wisdom, even far before that. However, a lot of times those people aren't building anything in the real world. And I think something like an inverse or like a way that we approached it was like, we built actual solutions. Like profit share is a real thing in the real world. Market share is a real thing in the real world, which is like these solutions that then we elevated from that, when really it was the opposite, because we built it by way of leadership. And then it's like, hey, if at any point you're wondering, this goes back to the authenticity, not authenticity like, oh, you say what you want to say, or you're a cursing Christian or whatever, you're kind of edgy. I'm talking about like, do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Like actually, because I have spent thousands of hours building mundane bullshit that sucks the life out of you, but it actually is a profit center to the company. And then it impacts that business. And like Friday, I enrolled, I don't do this very often at this stage, but I brought on a client and I was in the trenches. I took the watch off, the tie, right? And I went to Starbucks, which is kind of ironic because MyCore is made for Main Street. We probably should have went to a local coffee shop, but it was convenient, whatever. And I do like a white chocolate mocha, 3 pumps, grande hot. What's up? I got a shitload of points too. So I should pull up the start. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was perfect. My honey citrus mint tea. Okay.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
So I'm having this conversation with this gentleman, Nick. I met Nick 2 years ago. And at the time, another one of our advisors in our like actual community where we lived, he prospected him for his business. He since has parted ways with that partner, started another business, and he's going through a bunch of growth.
Okay.
And I'm like talking to him about what we do at the what level, this isn't the MyCore podcast or the MyCore Collective. This is like brass tacks, like what our business does on a daily basis that makes the cash register. And I was like pumped to be in the trenches again and to like talk to him about his business and be like, awesome. So where are you on payroll, benefits, HR? What's your hiring look like? What about if somebody stays for 4 days or 40 years? Like what's their journey? And I'm like, yo, I know what the hell I'm talking about.
I still got it. Yeah.
I still got it. And you'll appreciate this. I'm sitting across the table from him and I could tell he just wasn't quite getting what profit share is. Because he's like, does this include the technology and the payroll? I said, here's the thing. Let me sum it up for you this way, Nick. You're on that side of the table, building your business, wearing all these hats, trying to figure it the F out. I'm sitting on this side of the table, and I represent what could be an absolute shit show for you, which is having to go through a bunch of vendors and a bunch of platforms and a bunch of solutions and duct tape it all together and piecemeal it. Or And I physically stood up from my chair. I came around. I went shoulder to shoulder, like awkwardly close to him. I said, or we could sit shoulder by shoulder. I said, just for the record, it won't be me. It'll be your people advisor. It'll be your marketing advisor. And we will interview the platforms and we will talk to the vendors and we will put together this beautiful ops stack for your payroll, benefits, HR, i.e., your people operations, for your website and your CRM and your reputation, i.e., your marketing ops. And it just like the penny dropped for him. He was like, oh, so I pay that subscription fee and then I pay those vendors. But rather than hire somebody or take the highest and best use of my time for $497 a month, you're going to give me a single point of contact. So it was like, it was fun to be like in that moment.
Yeah.
That's actually why I believe my course should speak to leadership, because we built something. We didn't just regurgitate shit that you hear from the great minds and put your spin on. And I'm not knocking that because that's important and there's a space for that. But I actually think it puts us in a unique position to set the stage for those people that maybe are coaches and are consultants and are in the intangibles, because we've lived in both worlds. So anyway, that's something that I'm really like feeling compelled to build.
The biggest thing that I just took away from you walking through that story is you got up, physically got up. Everything changed when you got up from the desk and sat alongside him in the co-pilot's chair. Cool, we're in this thing together. Here's how this is going to work. The less we could do as a society. Oh, wow, we're going to get pontificating upon philosophy.
Let's go.
If we could do less talking at or to and talking with alongside, like anybody who goes out, I don't know, date, whatever, etc., sit next to your partner or spouse or wife or whatever.
Right.
Like sit in the booth or at the table,
sit
next to each other. Try that out. See what it's like. Yep. I'll tell you one thing, you'll start people watching together and it becomes a lot of fun.
That's great.
But I really do think that, like, back to like leadership and this void that we're seeing, there's two things. I'm going to double hit what I just talked about. Double click, right click, whatever. Mouses did have two buttons.
Two tap.
As we talk about this tech evolution through this podcast, you will create a much more valuable leadership experience for yourself or for those who you are working with if you sit alongside them. And I blanked on number 2. The problem with leadership is that it takes time. It takes reading the books. It takes failing. It takes wanting to get back up and try it again and believing in what you want to ultimately do, both professionally and for yourself or for organizations, companies, and those can be for-profit, non-for-profit. I always wanted to have a position where I had an impact on where the company was going. That's what I always wanted to do. Now, I got there as a director of HR. That had a ceiling. I tried to do it as a consultant on other companies when I was first a consultant, and I learned different ways to reach people. I did it at a tech company. I get to Fox. That's where I probably have the most amount of like impact and opportunity to run with it. And then here, like now, it's kind of what I'm missing as a solopreneur, is being around a team and one common goal, one common objective. I try to get that fulfilled by helping multiple business leaders get to where they want to go and their people elevate. But it's a different thing because you're not fully entrenched in the day-to-day. Again, a reason why I like to be in the room. Because then if I've recognized that is a void for me, that is something that I'm looking for, and I have recognized that I can get that, or as a first-timer, believe that I could get that out of a MyCore event or MyCore collective of being around like-minded people who I know, like, and trust in that room, that fills my tank, which is what happened in March. I walked out of that thing. I was like, okay, here we go. I got ideas. I've got thoughts. I've got things that I can work on. I've got lowlights and highlights and
right.
and all that stuff.
And something I sense in you too, Kyle, just from your engagement with me and my core, that I think is like a nugget for people. I have an immense amount of patience, and I counterbalance it with an immense amount of sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
To finish the thought from earlier, because I went on that rabbit hole, the mixed bag was this idea I thought to find a happy medium. And when I was doing that, I found that I was becoming vanilla and that I was becoming like diluted and just like blah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't effective. It wasn't happening. Like the energy wasn't being recruited. It wasn't being harnessed. It wasn't being like directed or redirected. And then I started to think of it more like, well, what if the components of the bag were the two extremes, but the bag is what collected it? So in other words, you get what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to be intense, have 3 parts like intense, and then have like 2 or 3 parts relaxed, not 6 parts chill-ish, but kind of, is there something passive aggressive going on there? I can't quite tell. Yeah. Right. And like in my leadership, the way that I roll, and I certainly don't have it all figured out, but I've got some data now that would support people do roll with Nathan, and they roll pretty deep, like ride or die type shit. I don't pretend like I'm not a thing, and I will go full send into that thing, and then I will counter it with this other thing. And then it's the mix of the two things that people go, that's dynamic. That's varied. I can live with both of these things. And there's something polarizing in that. And there's a reason why polarizing characters, whether it's the president of the United States of America or Kanye West, I don't know how you say his name, or like these people, and those are kind of like insane. Yeah. Like,
well, you have to,
larger than life.
They swing the pendulum. Right. And so it is very hard to be 51-49 when you're a leader. If we're going to take it back to leadership and
always
and bringing people along, being at 51-49, you're playing 2 sides heavy-handed, and you can't do that.
Right.
You have to make a commitment to one thing, even if you don't end up being successful, even if it ends to you having to exit the role or the company. You have to make a choice. You have to make a decision, because somebody has to go towards the lighthouse. You have to go in one direction. And it is then how you measure it, data, however you want to go about that, where you are in the milestones, so that if you take that fork in the road and you go right, and it proves to not be the correct path, you can quickly either come back using Google Maps or Waze to get onto the left path, or you can circumvent it a different way. But you've got to strategically stay so engaged in what it is that you're doing on one particular path, and strategically think it out to understand where those early inflection points will be that will be the litmus test. You got to be hyper aware of that stuff. But you have to make a decision. You're exactly right. I mean, everything that I've ever learned, especially in business, it may be our industry, I don't know. It's the 80-20 rule. Everything applies 80-20. And if you take 80% of you and you focus it on being intense, and 20% of it being something else on the opposite end of that spectrum, what that 20% can be is you explaining the 80%, helping people take what it is that you're putting out there and flipping it around. To a point earlier that I really wanted to hit on, leadership, I think you were speaking about these hired gun speakers around leadership. And maybe they haven't actually done it in the trenches, built the processes, done the cold calling, sent the emails, put themselves out there for a level of vulnerability. we can get up there in these events and people want to tell you all of these amazing things that you should be doing. Nobody tells you how to do it. Nobody. Because that's their little secret sauce that got them to be, why not be open and transparent about it? Why not give them something that actually is a takeaway, a physical thing that you can be doing today that will change the result of what it is that you're trying to do. I remember in Colombia, we were talking about ROI, right? How do you measure ROI, right? You've got a travel expense. You could look at it financially.
Right.
Very hard to do. You know, like actually I would force people that want to come to Eugene and be a part of this, remove that financial aspect, flip it, and just say ROI on yourself. I guarantee you will walk out of Eugene with a higher ROI in yourself than you did when you came into it. I guarantee it. Okay? But it is about leaving those people during that event, which we will do, with how to actualize it, how to bring it about. You did it earlier in the podcast when you explained what you did on this sale. You sat next to somebody. If anybody could start doing that right now, that is a big takeaway from this podcast. Sit next to the person and bring them across the finish line and whatever it is that you want to do.
That's good stuff, man. You're getting me fired up. I feel like we could talk more and more. I'm going to share some final thoughts as we close out and hear some from you. But this is good shit. And these are the conversations that we have around the event, right? That's what I love about this venue. And, if we outgrow the Graduate brand, so be it, but we're going to make sure that we're always kind of like on brand with that venue, because it has all these little nooks and crannies where you can create like small community within the overall community. And I think I've heard it this way. There's information and there's confirmation. And if you're seeking too often information, you will be down a black hole that will never satisfy your soul, because there's an endless, infinite amount of information. And now we live in a world where there's a bunch of misinformation. So you're sorting through the stuff that is just flat out not true. And then things that are true, but they may not be true for you, or they may not be true today. And it's like, you will lose your freaking mind.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about this sort of relationship between wisdom and knowledge, but this hot take is a little more like, coming to the event, you're going to pick up nuggets, gems, information. That is not as valuable as confirming what you already knew, but you hadn't dug your heels in deep enough to really plant the flag, plant the idea, like make the damn decision and make it right. The other way I've heard decide is a lot like the word homicide or suicide or pesticide. The root of the word means to kill. So when you decide, you have killed the alternative, and there's no looking back. You don't have wandering eyes. You have killed it. And when I made a decision and I decided that I was building my core, nothing, and I mean fucking nothing, Kyle, was going to get in the way of that. and that's like super intense. And now we'll balance it with some relaxation. But that's like real talk, like real shit that I don't always go, because sometimes I'm just trying to be a good, nice host of the My Core podcast. But that's like, I will cut you. And I think one thing about my team that people sense, whether they know how to peg it or not, they're like, these are really nice people. And then what you start to realize is these are killers. Susan Marie is an absolute G. Curtis knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. Laura is spinning and wheeling and dealing. You know what I mean? Ken is planting seeds. Patty's closing deals. Like Tony's like, this is a freaking like Suicide Squad. It's not just we care about people. Like, we're out killing the game. And I think that's the other thing too, is like, do you have that killer instinct in conjunction with your kindness and your altruism and your like, oh, my core, So anyway, I feel like you vibe with that and get that. And I think it's why you're part of our world as an ambassador.
I agree. And I appreciate that. I mean, you want to, my take is, from my perspective, is that you always want to, and this can go across, this isn't just, I'm speaking of it in terms of being an ambassador, a contributor for MyCore in this space, but I think that this is also applicable to all things. If you want to move the needle, you got to make sure that you're driving value. Like, what is the value that you're going to bring today, in this moment, right now, to this conversation, to move the needle forward, to execute, to get results, whatever those may be, to get it done. Period. End of story. Move on to the next thing, because life is all about the next thing that's going to happen. And you can surround yourself with people who want to talk about the noise. Nothing will get done. Nothing. So put yourself in intentional, purposeful rooms that create an opportunity for progress and prosperity. You do that, you will test yourself. You will get the ROI that I spoke about a couple minutes ago. Sure, financially, it will come down the road, whatever, blah, 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 blah. If somebody's tracking that today, kudos to you. I'm not.
Right.
But if you want to be something a little bit better tomorrow than you are today, put yourself in that room.
That's well said, man. And that makes me think, kind of in closing, like if you aim to be a collective yourself, some of the most financially successful people I've either met or like seen, I do not want to be.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you might, right? And you're like, wait, what? And it's like, well, they're very linear. Like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh,
and that
were
isn't
you just watching The Lion King? Were you watching Lion King Mufasa? Because my 2.5-year-old toddler is crushing Lion King 9,000 times a day. So yes.
Is that from The Lion King? I was wondering where it originally came from.
Who I may be for Halloween. Yes, that's it.
Dude,
check out
good.
Lion King Mufasa. Great movie, live action, crazy stuff.
I haven't seen the live action one. I need to see it
this weekend.
I think it's almost. Is it out? Is it streaming now?
Oh yeah, you can get Disney Plus. Okay. I'll send you the credentials. You're good.
Right, exactly. Heck yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I will do it 2 weekends from now with my boys. But yeah, right. Man, do you want to be a collective of where you're like, wow, that person is smart, fun, funny, successful, financially apt, spiritual, a leader, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister. It's like, if your goal is to aggregate yourself and be dynamic, I heard it this way, facets, right? Like multifaceted. I used to think that meant like multi-capable.
Yeah.
No. That's the terminology from a diamond that has light shining through it in all the different cuts. And I was like, I knew that like a year ago. I was today years old when I finally learned what that meant. I thought it was like a Swiss Army knife. And it's like, no. It's not about capability. It's about how light shines through it. And there's a reason why a diamond with more facets is more valuable.
Yeah.
Right. So like I approach life and business and leadership through that lens. And that's really what we're building here in this very moment. But I'm stoked that we got the opportunity to do this, man, because we've had peripheral conversations like this. I feel like today we got to go much more like into it.
Yeah.
And let's keep chatting, man. Heck yeah.
I loved it, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity. Great to connect finally on this. Excited to see you in person and just be a part of the team out there. And, we might have a little bit of fun. I don't know.
Dude, could you leave your boots maybe? I got a lot of flat shoes that, oh man, that I don't stand a chance now.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming, man. They're coming.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being on the pod today.
Peace. Be good.